Hello and welcome to my review of Management Studio. My name is Peter von Oven, and in this, the first in a series of 5 videos, I'm going to introduce you to the Management Studio solution and how Management Studio not only goes above and beyond in helping you deliver a project both on time and to budget, but also how it provides the foundations for any subsequent projects you deliver. It's not, as you will see in this video, a project management tool in the traditional sense. It's a solution that is more akin to delivering transformation as a process. So, as a brief bit of background, I've known Management Studio and the solution for some time now, as I used to work with one of their team members, Fraser. And I've also delved deeper into the solution, working with some of their value-added channel partners on transformative digital workspace frameworks that feature Management Studio as a core part of that ecosystem. As part of that, then I wanted to share some of that information with you in these videos. So, just to frame the conversation, and I know you already know this, but let's start by briefly touching on what actually is a project. So in its simplest form, a project can be defined as a sequence or set of tasks that must be completed to achieve a certain outcome. So let's take an example of a Windows 11 migration, as that's a hot topic right now. That would constitute as the overall project definition or the project name. So the sequence of tasks or steps would be designed to get your workforce successfully migrated from whatever the OS is they're running today onto Windows 11. Windows 11 is the project outcome, everyone running it, okay? If you want a more official definition, then according to the Project Management Institute, or the PMI, the term project refers to any temporary endeavour with a definite beginning and end. So, I often like to use analogies to describe things, just makes things a bit more easier, and particularly when talking about projects, I like to think of a project as being a book. So, like a book, a project has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. So if we go back to the beginning, in my experience, the success of a project can be tied directly back to that information gathered or research conducted as part of the project definition and scoping exercise, which defines the project journey. If you start with inaccurate data and misinformation, then you're pretty much doomed from the start. Rubbish in, rubbish out. So having gathered all of this critical information, and here's a thought, why not keep it up continually to date? And I'll come back to that shortly. So now we have our data, we move into the middle of our story. So it should all be plain sailing from here on in, right? Well, maybe not. And for anyone who has ever worked on a project, they'll know themselves that this is very much unlikely to be the case. Going head on into a project with your eyes wide open, knowing full well that you could be hit with potential disruption, it's pretty much a given. But the key thing is, how do you manage this to prevent a full derailment? And more importantly, how do you resolve these to get back on track? The answer is, in part, down to the quality and accuracy of that data at the beginning. But even that doesn't make things completely foolproof. There will be unknowns that come up, and as the saying goes, you don't know what you don't know. For example, have you compared the physical data with actual feedback from real people? Have you even engaged them on the project? Again, we'll come back to this shortly. So, where am I going with this? So from personal experience of being involved in many projects over the years, the key disruptor in my opinion is pretty much down to communication. And I don't just mean communication between project team members, which obviously goes without saying, but communicating with the people that the project directly affects, your customers. And as we know, customer satisfaction is absolute paramount. I've known projects that have deemed to be failures, even though technically they delivered exactly the desired outcome, but they failed purely because of the negative feedback from the people it affected. They felt they were not included in what the end result should be. They had no idea of what was going on when it came to disruption, to having access and running applications, basically because nobody told them. And worse than that, things just didn't work. So if I use my Windows 11 migration example again to highlight what I'm talking about, the project success would be that everyone now has a new Windows desktop. So in terms of the project definition, job done, right? But have you checked that the workforce can actually use that desktop? Do they have all their apps? Is the user experience as expected? And if the answer to any of these questions is no, then you have to ask yourself, is that project really successful? And that leads us nicely on to the end of our book analogy, the happy ending. So you need to sign off to say everything has been completed successfully, and not just from the project team saying they did what the project set out to deliver. Again, communication is key. You need to ensure that any anomalies have been addressed and resolved, but more importantly, are those directly affected by the project happy with the outcome, as I highlighted in the previous example? If not, maybe the project didn't work. I've talked about communication probably more than once, and communication is all encompassing. It involves not only the people that are on the receiving end of the project, but also the project team and any third-party suppliers or contractors that are delivering the project. They all need to be joined up, particularly in this age of collaboration. This communication should be continuous throughout the duration of the project, logging not only the completed tasks, but also any anomalies so that they're recorded and resolved to enable the project to continue. End users also need this feedback so they're not kept in the dark, and also just to demonstrate the success and the progress of the project. So with all those points in mind, what tools do people typically use when they're delivering a project? So when it comes to tools for managing projects, the list is pretty long, right? Some are more obvious than others, and some, well, they're not really designed for projects at all, and often are more like spreadsheets. For example, put your hands up if you've used Excel for managing projects, and maybe emails to collaborate or communicate. Yeah, I have. Not saying that Excel's bad. Excel is a great tool, but it's by no means a complete project transformation solution. These tools are typically standalone and point products, but more importantly, they're classed as reactive. And by that I mean you have to input all the data manually, and you have to go and find the data yourself. Not an easy task, and introduces a level of human error. And also, do you even know where to look? It's all very time consuming. Then to add further complication, you need to enable communication between all project team members, including your customers. So now we need a collaboration platform on top of everything else. So I hope I've not scared you too much, because there is a complete solution to resolve all of these pain points, and it's called ManagementStudio. ManagementStudio is an enterprise-class software-based solution that provides a unique platform for the end-to-end management of IT transformation projects. It is not just limited to individual projects. You can run multiple projects, all using a single source of continually captured data, so that projects all start from the same baseline. It also saves time and effort and not having to go back and capture that same data all over again for the next project. Focusing on the elements that constitute a project, it enables project teams within an organisation to manage every aspect of a project and its journey through the multiple tasks that make it up. Having said that though, it probably doesn't do the solution justice to call it just a project management solution. As I said previously, it goes way beyond that in terms of what it delivers, and could be better described as a complete project orchestration solution for delivering transformation as a process. Complete in that, yes, it covers the salient points of a project that we've already highlighted, but it goes way further than that, but not to the point of being overly complex. That just isn't going to work. So to enable ManagementStudio to deliver this transformation process, it has its own methodology, and this is called the 4 C's. I'm not going to go deep dive into the 4 C's in this introduction video. I'll save that for later and the following videos, and that will allow me to give you a proper overview and the attention that each of the 4 C's deserves. So for now, I'll just give you a quick 2-minute whistle-stop overview of each of the 4. And we'll start with capture. I've highlighted this throughout this introduction video around collecting or capturing data, and that accurate, up-to-date information is absolutely critical for the success of your project. Bad data, bad project, right? Particularly in my book. ManagementStudio takes the guesswork out of understanding your environment. It integrates seamlessly into your directory infrastructure, showing you user accounts, devices, applications, operating systems, any usage metrics, who's using what, where and when, and all of this in real-time information, which actually helps you to go and deliver the complete project lifecycle. Not just for this project, for other projects too. If you remember, I said I'll come back to that shortly. Well, as I've just said, once installed, ManagementStudio will continue to proactively capture this information and data, so that when project number 2 comes along, and guess what, it will, you can pick up with the same data source and the same baseline, meaning effectively you cut out that whole capture stage again for any future project. Or maybe you're running concurrent projects from the get-go. No problem, you can do multiple projects too. Next we have control. Control is all about taking that data from the first phase and putting it to use based on your project requirements. For example, ManagementStudio allows you to create workflows that provide a structure to completing project tasks, while also providing comprehensive reporting, audit trails to very quickly see where you are within the project timelines. So that when somebody says, a key stakeholder says, where are you? Here we are. I can point exactly to it. And to speed things up even more, ManagementStudio has the ability to automate many of these manual tasks to help reduce mistakes, keep timelines down, and actually bring them forward. If you have a look at the case studies on the website, you'll see a lot of customers have done exactly that, shaved 2, 3, 4 months off their project delivery times. Next is communication. Again, something I've repeatedly talked about. However, that communication needs to be engaging and make the customer feel that you actually care by inviting feedback. Don't just send out a boring text-based email, make them want to read it. With ManagementStudio, you can invite users to provide that real-time feedback, whether that's a survey asking them about their requirements, or you can provide them with testing plans to run through. So achieving that project success is even easier to gain, as there won't be any of those nasty surprises from people saying, that doesn't work when you get to the end of the project. And ultimately, remember that sign-off piece? We want it signed off. You can even allow them to schedule their own time slots when it comes to delivering a particular aspect of the project, maybe a new laptop, maybe their upgrade. Puts them in control, making them feel engaged. Last, but by no means least, is collaborate. This is where anyone involved in the project, so we're talking about admins, third-party suppliers, end users, etc., where they will interact with the solution. That could be via the ManagementStudio clients, the portal, surveys, dashboards, web reports, or whatever that might be. As I've already highlighted, all those involved in the project will be using a single source of data, back again at the capture phase, to make those informed decisions relating to project tasks. All with the aim of not only keeping the project on track, but also ensuring who's doing what when it comes to delivering those tasks. These tasks are why collaboration exists, from progress tracking, setting up emails, simple task management, migrating users, and managing issues through to resolution, even enabling role-based access to multiple projects where different collaborators play different roles in each of the different projects. So that brings us to the end of this first video, and you'll see that when it comes to delivering transformation projects, ManagementStudio really is your new best friend. So what's next? In the coming weeks, I'm going to record some additional videos, as I said, that will go deeper into the 4 C's and how they all play critical parts in the successful delivery of your transformation project. If you want to see for yourself, you can head over to the ManagementStudio website, sign up for a demo or sign up for a test drive, or just contact one of the team members. They'll be more than happy to talk to you about the solution and your particular needs. So with further ado, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to see you for the next one, where I'm going to focus on the first of the 4 C's, and that's the capture phase.